Warm welcome to all of you and good afternoon. Thank you very much for the opportunity. As always, a big thank you to our clients, my design team back in Chennai, and all the team members, all the various consultants who make each and every project from idea to reality. So this is almost like a reflection of sorts in terms of what we are doing, what we have done, and what is under construction. So the collage which you see on the screen is a compilation of various projects which also actually give an idea of how we approach design. And we approach design in a very, very organic, old-fashioned, and almost, I would say, a sensitive, tactile way, which is essentially a marriage between technology and intuition. And the intuition comes from years of being in the industry. Intuition comes from the fact that I've been fortunate to be a meditator for a long time. So when you go deep within yourself, when you go deep inside your own thought processes and your library of experiences, something really nice starts coming out. And then this is what we offer to the clients, and this is how we start creating beautiful buildings. Sorry. Okay, so this slide essentially captures the cities which have been influential in the formation of my work. And there's something called Janmabhoomi and something called Karmabhoomi. So I'm a Mumbaikar, transplanted and currently living in Chennai for the last decade, not complaining at all about the dosas and the idlis on demand. And starting from my early days working in Doshi sir's office in Ahmedabad, then phenomenal experience in New York City, doing my graduate program at Columbia, moving from the 24/7 energy of New York City to the 24/7 energy of Hong Kong, and being in Asia for almost 14 years, where Hong Kong was home, and I was deputed on work through RMJM, the company that I used to work for, in projects in Shanghai, in Taipei, in Singapore, in Bangkok. I was overseeing the Bangkok offices. And then in the last part of my stint there, I moved back to India and I was looking after some of the India projects. And at one point we had close to 35 projects working for Unitech before everything went south, and working for clients in the... So this is actually the energy that drives our design process. And each city has a story to tell, each city has an experience to share, and each city sort of gives you clues for the future, but driving from the past and delving from how we actually can learn what we've done. And even now, each and every city that I've lived and I've worked in, I'm immensely grateful to all the people that I've come in touch with and come in contact with. As designers, we have so many roles to play. We are actually a one-man band. We have to do everything from being, first of all, very simple listeners, to confidants, to counselors, to mediators, to peacemakers, to creative people, to you name it. I mean, when I look back on various projects, some of my clients have now become some really great friends. Some of my clients have become great advisors, mentors, and the professional acquaintances that we have turn into long-lasting relationships. We are constantly dealing with myriad expectations. A client comes, or a developer or a promoter or an institution, whatever it is, they end up expecting us to be Spider-Man, Superman, Iron Man, and then finally we become a Batman when it comes to retrieving the fees. And this is happening on a project by project basis. So what has happened is the bar has constantly risen in terms of what we can do. And if you fall short, then there is instant judgment. So judge, jury, and executioner are only seconds away. All the time you have to do this with ethics, with creativity, trying to keep your own team intact, trying to raise your own benchmark, and trying to better every project so that you don't fall into a stereotypical slot that, oh, this is now the guy's become jaded and this is how it is and you can't expect anything more. So as challenging as it is, it's also a lot of fun, and it's a lot of, I would say, satisfaction in trying to achieve that. So this actually shows the left side and the right side of the brain and everything that we need to go through. And if you don't bridge the gap between the left and the right, you're in the wrong profession. You need to find something that clearly makes you a lot happy. And I keep on saying this to my students, and I keep on saying this to all my staff: don't come to work if you are not happy to come to work. You should not feel that you're coming to work. You should be willing to come to work because it makes you want to come to work. And that can only happen when work is not work. Otherwise, you're no different from a bank job, you're no different from a clerk, you're no different from a railway authority employee. And for a creative profession, that's very, very important, because if that doesn't happen, the emotional connect with the designs will not happen. And if the emotional connect doesn't happen, then there is no spontaneity in the design that will come forward. So without much this thing, I'll come straight to the points, and we've selected a few case studies. So we are right now working on projects of master plans, we have individual projects. We're also design consultants to Larsen & Toubro for 5 of the bullet train station interiors. I have a lot of rail and infra experience, which I've done outside India. So all the Gujarat stations are being done by us: Vapi, Bharuch, Bilimora, Surat and Anand. And we are doing institutional projects. We are doing residences. We are doing gated communities, and we are doing a very special project in Coimbatore. It's a 4 lakh square feet mall, but it's a movie-centric mall. It's called Broadway Megaplex, and it's the last project in my compilation. 9 screens. There were 10 screens actually, which have now turned into 9. 2,200 packs on one floor, plus a boutique hotel, plus a retail, plus fine dining, plus a food court. So quite an interesting and quite an ambitious project for a city like Coimbatore. So this is the first of the case studies. This is in the heart of T Nagar, at a junction of 2 roads, Venkatraman Road and Nair Road. And this started off as a commercial project, and now it has become a boutique hotel with almost like service apartments, large scale format, 465 square feet rooms. The client aspirations were very clear. Give us a building which is not looking like anything which has been built, and something which has a character and an identity of its own. So the issues we were dealing with were hospitality, we were dealing with image, we were dealing with a presence. And we started looking at geometries, we started looking at parametrics, we started looking at what can technology do to an inside-outside interface, a guest experience, a front of house, a back of house, and most important, what can a hotel look like, or what can a boutique apartment or a service apartment look at. So this is the first of the studies that we did. This is the second of the studies in terms of tessellations and fractals and triangulations. And I think when I look back in the last decades, the amount of progress that technological software has made in terms of visualizing is just absolutely mind-boggling. And you don't have to look far. You just look at any of the new movies which are coming out of India or the United States, and you can see how virtual reality is created to the last, I would say, millimeter. And this is the technology which actually is at our disposal. So we are at a great time. And it reminds me of the first time that I visited the Bilbao Museum in Spain. And Frank Gehry, in the year 2000, used software which is used in the aeronautics industry. He used a software called CATIA, which is used by the Dassault aerospace company to design their Rafale jets. And he took that technology and put it to architecture, that building, the Bilbao building, changed the fortune of Bilbao, economic resurgence, unprecedented growth in terms of GDP, and the building doesn't have a single straight surface. So this is the power. This is the power which is at your disposal. More studies and explorations, and as is quite often the case, every client wants a lot more than what you think is good enough for them. But which is great. We love what we are doing, and we have no problems trying to explore as long as it's adding value and as long as it's taking the project to another level. So finally, we've ended up with a last three, I would say, in terms of the design, and this is the proposal that is currently going through the approvals, and we are looking at composition, we are looking at scale, we are looking at inside outside, we are looking at lighting, we are looking at image, and most important, we are looking at creating an identity for the project. This is our stab at a project not too far from here, in Prabhadevi, and I think JW is the structural consultant. This is a high rise for the Sumer group. We were invited to do a design study, and I think it was a great opportunity, and high rises present that unique opportunity for you to look at design resolution on a vertical scale. How do you deal with an experience that an end user wants, which is of the price of the real estate that he's paying for? He could get a huge landed property, but he wants that experience just because of the location and just because of the economics that a city like Mumbai present. So these were series, and I still draw with my pencil and my sketching paper and my sketch pen and tracing paper, and every project in our office begins like this, and this is the only way, because this is your connect with your art and your craft. Yes, we need the computers, and yes, we need the technology, but the first sketch and the first line and the first scribble, whether it's on an airplane or whether it's in the bathroom or whether it's on a train or whether it's in the office, starts with the tracing paper. And I completely subscribe to that. So here's a cross-sectional study in terms of apartments with balconies, apartments with decks, open to sky decks, and large windows, picture windows, bay windows. And actually, what you were saying in the panel discussion has happened. We started with 2 flats on a floor, then it became 4 flats on a floor. I don't even know what it is. Oh, it's back to two flats, or 2 or 1. Okay, so this is after the foundation was done, I remember, and this is after the approvals were obtained for the first option. So this is equivalent of changing a direction of a plane mid-flight. And he's saying, "Nahi yaar, mujhe London jana." No, let's go to Tokyo. No, let's make it via London and then come back. And this is actually what is happening in projects. So there's no exaggeration. Market dynamics, market economics, and the numbers are so staggering that if this is not done, the project will not fly. And it's the worst thing any developer wants is sitting inventory, because that is just dead load and impossible. They have to keep it rolling. They have to keep the flow going on. So this was an opportunity for us to do that, and we're hoping that it actually ends up becoming a very positive contribution to the Mumbai skyline. These were some of the design studies that we made, and yeah, I hope Rahul takes this forward. Exactly. Yeah, I know. So this is the. So we try and do something which is different, and we try and add value to make sure that it should not be just another simple run-of-the-mill design option. And we put our heart and soul into whatever we're doing. And then that it takes time, but good design needs time. I won't say good design takes time. Good design needs time. It's something. It's a mantra that all clients and all consultants have to imbibe and assimilate. This is another project which is built. It's actually the Golden Jubilee Library building for a college in Krompet. It's a 10.5 acre campus site. It's called Shri Devkuvar Nanalal Bhatt SDNB Vaishnav College. 8,000 students, all women. and in day and evening scholars. And this was their offering to the students back. So the trustees came to us and they said, Shripal, do something. Believe it or not, this design was chosen by the 84-year-old mentor and senior most trustee, saying, I want a building for the future. I want a building where the students actually have an aspiration and they go back with something new. And that was I think, very gratifying for us. So it just tells me that age is just a number. You can have someone as senior as that picking a design which is completely in tune with what the young generation is looking for. Yes, there were functional requirements. Yes, there were requirements of view, corridor, space, light. Fortunately, this faces the track and field arena, which is on the north side. So we were able to get away with a large double height space. This shows the floor plan. The glass was chosen, which is a Gujarat Guardian DS series glass, and it was done with a very strict comparison with all the other competitors. And then finally, the trustees and us said, no, that's the right one to go forward. The aluminium paneling was done by Viva, and it's an open joint system. And you can see the floor plan, which has a double height space. So the whole idea was, and this is also something that I recall with my experience in the US stint when I went to Columbia and the other colleges that I've visited, and the trustees, their own experience. Let's give the library a really, really special ambience. And it cannot be just another 3.5 meter headroom. So we said we agreed on a double height space, we agreed on a north window, and we agreed on an entirely different space that will inspire students to come and study. And this is the power of architecture. It will want them, it will make them to come and then sit there and study and then go back with something new. And this is the responsibility that we have as professionals in the creative. If you don't add something like this, then there is no point in actually even being in the profession. So this is the north facade, and that's the space inside the main reading hall. There are classrooms, and then right on top are the seminar rooms with 250-seater each spaces, which are set in an amphitheater kind of thing. So it was a mixed-use stacked design arrangement, and the students love it. We do have some ventilation issues because there was an STP close by, which made the students close the windows, which started creating a very cascading heat effect, and we identified the problem, and now it's great. So and another lesson we learned is that never ever have white boards in classrooms. They reflect so much of light that it becomes a problem for the backbenchers, and that is actually why backbenchers become backbenchers, because there's nothing to see. I can't hear, I can't see. तो अरे कुछ और करो यार. That's the issue. So we change, and this is something you can't visualize this. You have to learn this. So we realize that green boards are the best ones, not the white ones. Only green, and they do not reflect any light, and all the students have full attention. So the faculty is happy, the students, I hope they are happy. Definitely the trustees are very happy. So this is the we're just about now finishing the track and field, and we've got another building to do in the campus, and then a third building. So slowly the 10.5 acre campus is getting changed and transformed with new additions, and each of the aspirations and each of the buildings represent a new direction forward for the next generation. Okay, this is a project for corporate headquarters in Trichy, and there is a homegrown brand of steel making, this thing called Aman TRY. So we inherited the shell. It's a weird aspect ratio, 1:6 or 1:7. It was a long, almost like a train, and the warm shell, the post-tension construction was already done, and the client had an image reference which was not exactly something that we would have liked to do, and so we said no, we'll take it and we'll do something else. So these are the first of the sketches that we started doing on how do we add a skin to the facade, and what do we do so that we work functionally, so that we work in terms of the image of a steel making company, and most important, how do the employees feel. So this office is supposed to be an amalgamation of 6 of their offices, and almost 200 employees will now be sitting on 4 floors. So we started with various studies of what do we do. We gave them studies in terms of skin, fins, shading devices, openings, parallel openings, plus and minus, positive, negative, all the design strategies that we would want to do for a corporate. And what came out of that was, he said, look, that orange box which you see, he says, that is my office. So I need you to frame it and make sure that that is highlighted. The other offices are the meeting rooms and the conference rooms. So just do something where the inside is reflected on the outside. And I want that to be something which is connected to the fact that we are making steel. Another design intervention that we did was we created almost like a frozen moment of steel making on the facade using CNC cut panels. And in steel making, there is a process called smelting. And this is what I realized when I went to the steel plant, and in 1000 degrees heat, you actually see that very critical moment where the steel turns into long rods and billets, and then it is for cooling. So sparks come out. Those sparks is what we captured in the facade, and we created a CNC cut screen, and then we did a vertical panel. And effectively, that is what the client signed off saying, okay, this is it, I'm good with this. Because now it became a story to tell for him and for all his employees to remember. And most important, his family of 350 dealers have actually a connection with the building. So this is a great idea that actually made architecture talk to not just the client, not just the employees for the company, but everyone associated with that brand. Then we put on the layer of lighting. So what do we do in terms of ambience? What do we do in terms of accent? What do we do in terms of making sure that the building starts getting a character of its own without completely going over the top, very subtle, and at the same time very sensitive. Again, the vertical fragments are an extension of the steel making process. So we've tried to actually take a frozen component of this steel making process and then taken bits and pieces of that, elements of that, and then woven that, transformed that into the facade. So every time, most important, he feels very, very satisfied, and he says, yes, this is great because I've not seen this, and this is something, this is the legacy I want to leave behind. Today they are about 1,000 crore, and they're not even producing 1 million tons of steel. And he says that's in comparison, JSW and Tata are 10 million. So this is the scope which is there for the steel making. So these were the final renders. These were the final studies. Corten panels, ACP panels, metal silver, and then curtain wall, a combination of curtain wall, window wall, as well as openable windows, because I had to make sure that there was cross ventilation in case they didn't want to use the air conditioning and the HVAC. And this is the end result that we're just putting the finishing touches. Again, glass was a combination of high performance, solar, thermal, and everything that we need to make sure that there is comfort inside, shading outside, and most important, the building has a character and an identity. The last project on this is the Broadway Megaplex, 4 lakh square feet, 2,200 packs. Original brief was unbelievably 16 screens on one floor because there were 16 original investors. And then I had a meeting with the board and I said, no, you cannot have 16. That's too much for a city like Coimbatore. And we brought it down to 10. 10 became 9, which is a merging of 2 large screens. We are hoping that we are able to open this in this Diwali. And it's actually... These are site photographs from the last few months. The superstructure and the civil work is almost done. The glazing is right now in mock-up stage. Interior fit-outs have started. So we have an IMAX, we have a large screen, we have a VIP, we have an Epic, and then we have 170 and 220 seaters. And the first thing that the client said is that give us a design where movie making is appreciated from the time that I get inside the building. And that was the whole theatrical angle, and that was the whole theatrical experience that drove the design and the entire studies. And even now, every time we go to site, there's a new idea that comes, and if it's possible and if it can be taken on, we take it up and we make sure that it's actually done. So, thank you. And this is just a glimpse of the various projects that we are doing. Thank you very much.